Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. So, as you saw by the title of my YouTube video, you're probably thinking I'm talking about the Disney's Magical Express and the end of both Disneyland pass programs. Well, you are absolutely correct, and technically, Disneyland is the only one that has actually, or Disneyland is are the only ones, or whatever, that have technically gotten rid of their annual pass program altogether, versus Disney World is the only one that has decided, well, we're going to get rid of the ability to buy new passes. I was actually reading an article last night about it, and according to the article, Disney World is doing it and this is the short version, budget costs. And that's exactly what I had predicted as soon as I saw that Disney World was getting rid of the Magical Express. I mean, they did a long, thorough detail, which I'll get into that later. So let's start with the very first one, which is the Disney Magical Express, or Disney's Magical Express. So, never rode it myself personally, never needed to. I lived in Florida for 26 years. I've always had the privilege of being able to get to and from Walt Disney World or Universal or Orlando Resort within an hour. Maybe even less back then, but considering I lived in Lake Wales, Florida, home of Bach Tower Gardens for 15 years, I was about an hour away from the theme parks, and Legoland was about 15-20 minutes away. So I always had that privilege of just driving straight over there. Usually I would ride with my dad, who worked for Walt Disney World, and I would ride with him into the cast member parking lot of Animal Kingdom, where he was at for the longest time. And I would wait around for him at this area over by the Animal Kingdom restrooms. You probably know that spot. I don't have a picture of it myself, and if I did, I would have been YouTubing with my phone, so I could show you a picture of it on my laptop. So, therefore, I don't have it, so I didn't even stop and decide that I was going to YouTube this on my phone in the first place. So, well, you just have to use your imagination. So, that's where I would literally sit for an hour and a half. Sometimes I would get bored and I would walk over to the front and go get Joffrey's, and I'd go through security all over again. It didn't really bother me because all I had was my lunch on me, which I always brought in this giant cooler. Not too big, though, and it always had to be Disney appropriate. Because Universal and Disney are like no go on certain coolers. So then I would walk right back through again. I would just watch people walk in, and they would line up right in front of the entrance to Animal Kingdom. And finally, my dad would eventually come out and he'd get me in, and sometimes I would go and do at least a ride. I would usually walk with him for a little while and just talk to him, and I would usually do at least a ride since he went to all that trouble to drive me all the way out there. And even though he had to go anyway, but still, he did go to a lot of trouble to get me in and walk all the way back to the front just to get me in and give up part of his time to himself. So I figured it's the least I could do. Sometimes I didn't really feel like hanging around the park at that time, so I would let him know right then and there, hey, I'm gonna head to another park. But I always said bye, Dad, to let everybody know, especially since there are a lot of spies that literally are planted at the very front of every Disney park to watch for cast members that will get in people that they don't necessarily know. So I always said bye, Dad, as loud as possible, which my dad never was bothered by. Actually, he would have wanted that. So I could let everybody know that is my father that got me in, and that is immediate family, and that was probably the only way of me being able to get in back then. So anyway, he would get me in, and I would sometimes do that, or I would turn myself around and I would head back to the buses. Now, for the longest time, I did not know about the buses. Sometimes I'd be stuck at the park all day long, and sometimes I would actually end up borrowing his car, and I would drive from one park to the next. And I was sneaky back then. I didn't know this was wrong. And actually, the funny thing is, they were more okay with it back then because were making a lot more money. I used to be able to use like the guest pass to get free parking. Now, over the years, I did learn more and more, and there was like one particular day that I learned, oh, the Disney transportation is free. Wow, what do you know about that? You're probably wondering, where are you going with all this? And this is, to give you guys an understanding of why this is such a big shock to me, especially since I'm telling you guys my whole story about how I lived in Florida and all the times I went to Disney over the years. Anyway, so yes, I would. There was one day I finally found out that the complimentary transportation that is at every resort, every park, was actually complimentary. I didn't know it was complimentary. I thought you had to be a hotel guest for it to be complimentary. So I was so excited. I ended up using it to my advantage. I think I found out about this a few years later. So I started doing the whole park hopping thing back in around '05. It was in '07 that I decided to start, when I finally, I should say, found out about the buses. So I used to park hop constantly between '07 to whenever, like, I guess you could say until I got my own car, which was basically in 2016. I was using the buses constantly and riding with my dad. So we're talking good 9 years I was riding with my dad and using the buses. And even then, I didn't always drive my car out to Disney, even after 2016. Like, you could say the majority of the time my dad was working for Disney, he was pretty cool. Like, just ride with me and then use the bus. And that's what I did. And I'll tell you guys right now that the majority of the time I was park hopping, I was mainly going to Epcot, especially on the fall. I was going to Food and Wine. I pretty much went to every single Food and Wine festival for 12 years in a row. I was on it. I loved the Food and Wine Festival. I don't know if I know anybody personally that's gone longer than that. I'm sure there are people out there that have been going since day one of the very first Food and Wine Festival. I've gone to the very first day of the Food and Wine Festival of that year, like, let's say, like, 2015. I don't remember exactly, but I remember being there on day one of that year. But I know there are people out there that will say, oh, yeah, since Food and Wine Festival even started, I've been going to Food and Wine Festival since day one and all that fun stuff, and every single year. So, and you've had these privileges of being able to go to Disney every single week or every single month, and having that ability to go from your house to Disney within an hour, and you're only spending 2 hours tops commuting. And meanwhile, there are people that are flying to Disney. And I remember the few times I would be coming back home from Canada, and the plane was packed because everybody's going to Walt Disney World. They're all excited, and I'm just going home. And excuse me, I remember the very first time I flew into Florida for a vacation. It was a huge difference. It's like, wow, I've lived in Florida my whole life, and that was last February. And it was the first time I even considered, the Disney Magical Express. I'm not saying I needed it. I'm just saying that was the first time I even thought about it. It was the first time I had ever flown into Florida for a vacation, and I wanted to use that whole story to help you guys understand how I went from one extreme to the next. And hopefully my story will help you guys. So, I came in and I was like, wow, if I was actually staying on Disney property, this would be great right now. And there were guys that were standing around and they were holding their placard or sign that was advertising the Disney Magical Express. And, I don't 100% understand how it works. I'm assuming that you walk up to one of those guys and yeah, some of the few they could take you to your Disney hotel. I don't know which Disney hotels they take you to. If they take you to all of them, or they just take you to a particular one, and then you get on complimentary transportation from there at that resort, and they takes you to your hotel, which Disney buses run pretty much 24/7. I don't think they run, you know, they stop running like after a certain time, like, oh, time for us to go home. I'm very sure that they do have a few buses that are running at night as well. I just don't see a whole lot because I've been at Walt Disney World super late at night many times. I can tell you guys that right now. I mean, come on, we're talking about someone that used to play around at Disney until late at night. We're talking about someone that used to get off work at Magic Kingdom at like 1 in the morning. Of course I know. I mean, and I've even probably been out later than that if I'm not mistaken, but I know for sure that I've been out at like 1 in the morning for sure. So, yes, I'm sure there is a way for you to get to your resort hotel if the Disney Magical Express were to only stop at one resort. So, when I heard the announcement back a couple of weeks ago, I was like, wow, I never would have guessed that Disney was that desperate to cut that kind of cost. Like, is it really costing them that much to run it? Because they, to the point where they have to get rid of it. Like, well, we're spending too much money on this and we're hurting too badly due to the pandemic, so we're gonna get rid of the Disney Magical Express altogether at Walt Disney World. It's like, why? And you know how many people rely on that service to get from the airport to the resort hotels? Do you know how many people fly into Orlando International Airport on a daily basis? There are people flying from all over the world, and now Disney is either A, going to have to be forced to come up with an alternative for everybody to get there, because I can guarantee you right now it's not going to go well for people to be forced to Uber or take a Lyft. And there's no guarantee that this new train, the Sun Rail, is going to connect from the Orlando International Airport to Walt Disney World anytime soon. And Walt Disney World is basically deciding that by early next year, which is January 2022, the service will be gone. And we'll see how it goes. But Disney has to come up with an alternative to the service by that point. There was another thing that was gone by that same week, and that was the Disneyland Annual Pass program. We're talking gone, gone. Like, Walt Disney World uh, totally got rid of their bus system for the airport, and Disneyland totally got rid of their annual pass program altogether. And the funny thing is, they had no reason to, for two reasons. Number one is the park is still closed. Most people would say the other reason should be number one, but to me, number one should be the park is still closed, or the parks are still closed, both Disneyland parks. It's like, why get rid of something to cut on budget costs when you guys are not even open yet? It's like, why? And number two would be that the annual pass program for Disneyland is the primary drive of people that go to Disneyland on a daily basis. 75% of people that go to Disneyland are annual pass holders. Disneyland is hoping that when they do reopen, that by eliminating the Disneyland annual pass holder program, that they will have more people buying tickets to get into the parks, and this will increase their revenue. And also, these same people will be paying for hotels and all that on their property, which will bring in more revenue. I don't necessarily believe that. This might be true for Walt Disney World, but Disneyland, I don't see it. Because honestly, Disneyland is making most of their money from the annual pass holder program, so I would like to see how long this is going to last for. And then as far as the Disney World program, so Disney World is allowing their current Disney World pass holders to keep their passes and renew it, but people like TJ who are planning on getting a pass are not going to be able to because Disney World has decided to eliminate that option. I don't know if TJ is aware of this, but you no longer are able to buy a Disney World pass anymore until further notice. And their reason, of course, is to increase their revenue in ticket sales, increase their revenue in hotel sales. They're trying to get more tourists to pocket their money, and they know that Disney World pass holders are not giving them the same amount of money that tourists are, because Disney World pass holders get free parking, they get discounts, and Disney World pass holders live local, so they don't necessarily have to spend the kind of money. I mean, come on, I'm very sure this was a Disney World pass holder family. I was one time working at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I don't know if I told the story of my life as a working Disney cast member series. But I was working at Min and Bill's Dockside Diner, now known as Dockside Diner. And as I was cleaning the tables, there was a family that was literally eating one of those like giant grande meals from Taco Bell. And I was like, really? Of all things to bring to Walt Disney World? Like, if Disney, I'm so sorry. If Disney World really wanted to be evil, they could have just eliminated the whole no bringing outdoor food and drinks in, period. But I guess Disney World decided, well, let's go to an alternate route. Let's just go ahead and eliminate the whole be able to buy new Disney World passes instead. And this will still allow our current pass holders to still be able to bring in their outside food and beverages. We'll see how long that lasts for. We'll be doing another update in the event that Disney World makes another change that we're going to be like, are you serious right now? So, anyway, pretty short vlog today. Tell me in the comment section below, what was your least favorite thing that Disney World has done just this month alone? It's not even February yet. And I'm still 5 days away from being able to go back to work. So anything could happen in the next 5 days. And I have so much I could, talk to you guys about while I'm stuck at home still. So just keep updated with my YouTube channel. I'm going to hang in there. And my refrigerator is slowly but surely getting bare. And of course, I don't really have any money right now. And I also don't really want to go do any grocery shopping either, because I'm trying to avoid being out of the house as much as possible until next Wednesday when I'm allowed to fully resume all normal activity. So I will see you guys in the next vlog, which I'm just about to do. It will be another Life as a Working Disney Cast Member series featuring Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, my first time working Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So I will see you guys in that vlog. I'm so sorry. I get tongue-tied all the time. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.